Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, so David Benavidez in an interview has actually said that he never turned down 8 million to fight Demetrius Andrade. That's rubbish. That's absolute rubbish, according to David Benavidez. He said, why would I turn down 8 million to fight Demetrius Andrade when I've never been paid that kind of money before? I've never been paid that kind of money before. So why would I turn down a fight against a fighter to fight for 8 million? He goes, and this is the thing. A lot of us guys buy into some of the stuff that's being said out there. And I know that was being said by his manager. And at the time I was complex because I was like, this don't make sense. This don't make sense. You know, this doesn't make sense whatsoever. Why would David Benavidez, who, look, I'm not a big fan of David Benavidez in terms of his skill set, or I'm not sold on him like some of you guys are. But one thing I will say about David Benavidez is willing to fight anyone. Like, you can just tell from his demeanor, he actually wants to go in and prove himself. Whether he'll be good enough, that time will tell. But I don't think he's a bottle job. I don't think he's a guy that's, scared to fight anyone. I think he'll fight anybody. You can just tell that from his demeanor. He's not afraid. He's definitely a guy that wants to fight the best and find out how good he is, and he wants to prove himself. And there's no way he would be turning down $8 million to fight Demetrius Andrade. Like he said, I've never been paid that kind of money before. Why would I turn down 8 million to fight Demetrius Andrade? You see, sometimes these type of, I know his manager said that they would want more. I don't know what his manager said, but his manager was like, it didn't make sense what he was saying. But sometimes I feel like, not in this particular case, but sometimes I feel like some of these rumors get put out there to make a certain fighter look good. So to make Demetrius Andrade look, I'm not saying in this case, I'm saying to make Demetrius Andrade look like he's a monster and people are avoiding him and ducking him and nobody wants to go near him. Like, David Benavidez will fight Demetrius Andrade for 8 million. There's no way he would turn down that fight for 8 million. Like, why would he turn down that fight for 8 million? Why? You know, like, Benavidez would have made nowhere near that kind of money. I won't be surprised if he hasn't made anywhere near that kind of money with his old purses combined, let alone, him fighting one fight for 8 million. Why would he turn down a fight against a smaller guy, for $8 million? He definitely wouldn't. But sometimes this information gets put out there and it's rubbish, because at the time I couldn't make heads and tails of what his manager was saying, because it didn't even make sense. It didn't even add up. There's no way Benavidez would turn down that kind of money to fight Demetrius Andrade. And likewise, Andrade wouldn't turn down that money to fight him either. Unless either of them have got something lined up that's bigger, then they may do. If you've got something lined up bigger, when you're a guy like David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade, you've not had many opportunities to prove yourself. You've not been in there with your top guys in the division, and you've not made big dollar. There's no way you're going to be turned down in an offer, irrespective of whether what's out there. You may get a Canelo fight, but that you may get it. You might not get it. If someone's offering you 8 million, right, and that's your career highest payday by a million miles, right, you're going to take it. I don't care whether you think you're going to get a Canelo fight. You're going to take that money. Simple as that. You're going to take that money. 8 million is, for a guy that's not made anywhere near that kind of money, that's too much money to decline. Like, there's no way a fighter, irrespective of what might be out there for them in the future, knowing if they lose, that might go. But 8 million, you're laughing. You're almost sorted with 8 million. And let's not forget, Benavidez is somewhat of a name. Even if he was to lose, he can come back and build his way back up. He's only young. So to be offered $8 million to fight Demetrius Andrade in a fight that he'd probably be favorite to win, no, maybe not in my eyes, but in the boxing world's eyes, he'll be favorite to win that fight, being the bigger man. People think he's a monster. People think he's got fast hands, and he's gonna walk through everyone. So people think he walks through Canelo. He beats Canelo. So of course, if the people think he beats Canelo, they'll think he's gonna beat Demetrius Andrade. But David Benavidez acknowledged Demetrius Andrade. He said Demetrius Andrade has been avoided just like me. He said Demetrius Andrade's style will be the toughest style for me. That's what he said. He basically said that Demetrius Andrade will be a very tough fight for me. He goes, that style will be a tough fight. And he's right. That Andrade would be a tough fight. Is the only question is with the Andrade. Like for me, I've got Andrade outboxing Benavidez pretty convincingly. The only thing that might go in Benavidez' favor is that Andrade's a little old. So with Andrade gas down the stretch, if Benavidez can get to him, start landing shots, will Andrade gas towards the latter round? Because I do question his stamina. I do question his punch resistance a little bit. Those things are yet to be tested because he's yet to be in there with anyone real elite, really, that can punch. Yeah, Andrade's not really been in there with any big solid punchers, really. Like, you wouldn't say he's been in with anyone that can punch like Benavidez, that's for sure, as big as Benavidez. You know, Andre is normally the tall, lanky guy. He'll be going in there against someone that's taller, that's got the longer reach, that probably hits harder, that's fast as well. And Andre don't want to be on the end of those punches. So, personally, if Andre doesn't run out of gas and doesn't lose steam, I would pick him to win a decision. But if he does gas or he can't, like I said, his punch resistance isn't great, then Benavidez might stop him as well. Like I said, this is the thing. This is why I want these type of fights, because neither of these type of guys are proven. They're not proven to us. We don't know how good they are. It's all speculation to what they are, how good they are. Really, they're unproven guys. When you think about it, they're unproven. Simple as that. They haven't proven themselves, in my opinion, and hence why them fighting each other will show us something. But I do think that as time is kicking on, I do think that if this fight favors Benavidez personally, because Benavidez is 25 years of age, Andrade is 35. He's just come off an injury. Well, he's not come off of injury. He's going through an injury process, having surgery. That for me is not going to be great at this age. How long is that going to take to heal? When he does heal, is that going to affect him? I personally think that Benavidez has a great chance of beating Andrade. Now, if he can't beat Andrade now, then he would never beat an Andrade, because Andrade right now for me is on the slide. And people will say, well, we can't determine that. We've not seen any slippage yet. But, it's human nature. When a guy gets to 35 years of age and he relies on reflexes, movement, speed, stamina, and all those things, because Andrade's a guy that relies on high output. And unfortunately, as you get older, those things start to diminish. Andrade is not a young man anymore. He's an old guy for the style that he has. Andrade has a young man style. The fact that the only reason the Andrade is still going, because Andrade is probably, I wouldn't say he's been active, but I think he's a guy that probably lives in the gym. Not just that, he's not had many hard fights. He's not been involved in a lot of tough fights. He's not fought the elite competition. When you fight the elite competition, your fights are going to be hard. You take a lot more punches. You might go down. The fights are more brutal. You take a lot more damage, more wear and tear. And that also damages you. Also, if you lose, you lack of motivation, especially if you made money. Whereas Andrade Andrade is still, the reason why I think Andrade might have a little bit longer yet is because Andrade's still hungry. And what I mean by hungry, he hasn't really been in the big fights. He hasn't really had the success. He's a two-time world champion. I mean, two-weight world champion, but two-weight world champion against who, really, when you think about it? Like, has he got a legacy? Has he left any kind of legacy? No. Just because you're a two-weight world champion. Adrian Broner's a four-weight world champion. And look how a lot of people view Adrian Broner. I don't feel like it's you being a three-weight, four-weight world champion. It's who you fight that people remember. Your resume. How good is your resume? How those fights that you had, how great were those fights? Were they fan-friendly fights? Did people enjoy those fights? And Andrade really hasn't got many enjoyable fights, and he hasn't really got many names on his resume. So really, when you look at it from that point of view, from a fan's point of view, Andrade's going to be forgotten very quickly unless he changes certain things around, because he's not really given us any fights that we want to see. And that's not his fault. You can blame the promoter, blame the fighters avoiding him. And Benavidez says that Andrade is being avoided. But at the end of the day, people aren't going to look at it like that. People aren't going to look at it like that. It's like there could be this guy that was really intelligent, and you knew that this guy was the most intelligent guy in the class. But he wasted his talent. He wasted everything. He wasted his gift. He wasted his IQ. He wasted everything. And now he's working, he's struggling. He's struggling, and he didn't take advantage of the IQ he had. And for me, that's a little bit like Andrade. That Andrade was a guy that really was very talented, very good. But unfortunately, he never really showed us how good he really is. If Andrade was to retire today, nobody can really say how good he was. You'll have fans of his, like someone like Christian, saying that Andrade is the best in the world and he's this, that, and the other. But really, we don't know how good Demetrius Andrade is, because even though, like, someone like Jaron Ennis, I think Jaron Ennis is unbelievable. By the way, Jaron Ennis, for me, looks way better than Demetrius Andrade. But a lot of people today still say, well, yeah, he looks great, but who's he for? You know, but my eye test don't lie to me. But it's true as well. If he fights Errol Spence, there's certain things that Errol Spence might test of Jaron Ennis that we may have not seen as of right now. Like, Teddy Atlas feels that Jaron Ennis beats everybody. He said he feels that Jaron Ennis is so good, he beats everybody. And this is the point I'm trying to make, is that when you have professionals like that saying that about Jaron Ennis, but nobody was saying that about Demetrius Andrade. People thought he was a guy that could give Canelo a tough fight and potentially beat him, but nobody was talking about Andrade ever in his career like we are with Jaron Boots Ennis now. The difference is, I don't feel Jaron Boots Ennis' career is going to go like Andrade, where he's not going to get a big fight. He's going to get a big fight, and he's going to get a big fight very soon. Whereas, and also, he's also in divisions where there's a lot more stacked talent there. You know, and if someone like Spence does vacate, as soon as someone like Jaron Boots Ennis becomes a world champion, which he will, right, everyone's going to want to fight him then, because now he's a world champion. Now he's got something that everybody wants. And this is the point I'm trying to make, that a lot of these guys like Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, these are accomplished fighters. These are fighters that have had very good careers. They're looking at it, why do we need to be a leg up for Jaron Boots Ennis? What does Jaron Boots Ennis bring for us? But the only way, like, Jaron Boots Ennis would be a mouth-watering attraction to them, if Jaron Ennis wins a world title, then someone like Keith Thurman will come to the table and say, because Keith Thurman's at the end of his career, I want to fight this guy because now this guy's the talk of the town. And that's what gets a older veteran fighter up, when they see a guy, a young guy, you know, at the top, and people talking about him, and he's world champion. Because now the old veteran fighter looks at it and thinks, if I beat this guy, I go to a next level, because people are saying this guy is the next come in, this, that, and the other. If I beat him, you know, people are going to be talking about me. You know, my legacy is going to be even greater than what it is now. You know, and I'll get a good payday for fighting him as well. So this is the point I'm trying to make. Like, right now, Jaron Boots Ennis doesn't really bring anything for the top guys. But I expect Ennis to get a crack somewhere down the line. With Andrade, it's never happened. It's never happened. He's been around for over a decade, and it's never come for him. Now, I don't know how you can just blame other people around. Like, you'd have to blame the team. You'd have to blame somebody, you know, around him, because you can't blame everybody else. Now, he is avoided, because Eddie Earn said it. David Benavidez has come out and said he's an avoided fighter, but there must have been opportunities for him to get big fights. And this is what I always bang on about. And for some reason, for whatever reason, they haven't been made. Listen, doesn't matter how good somebody is, right? And doesn't matter how avoided, there's always somebody out there for you to fight. There's always a big name out there for you that eventually will fight. Like David Benavidez. David Benavidez would fight Demetrius Andrade in a heartbeat. All that nonsense about David Benavidez trying to avoid Andrade and rejecting 8 million, that's all nonsense. That's all nonsense, and it was always nonsense. But yeah, let me know your thoughts about this, because that's great, because David Benavidez says he's willing to fight Andrade next. He's willing to go in there with Andrade next. And that's obviously great to hear, because, you know, Andrade has been somebody that people have said that, you know, people have been avoiding. So that's good to hear from somebody that, you know, David Benavidez, he's willing to go into a fight with Demetrius Andrade right away. I think that'll be good for both of them, because I think they both need it, really. I think they both need to fight. But leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. How do you see that fight playing out? How do you see that fight going? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.